Can a simple rosary, that string of beads many keep in their pocket almost absent-mindedly, open the door to an Oscar-nominated film? This is not some legend made up to inspire believers. It's a real event that happened to actor Jim Caviezel. That moment not only gave him his first major break in Hollywood, but also became a powerful sign of the intervention of God and the Virgin Mary in his life. In this video, we'll explore Caviezel's testimony, dive into how a rosary led him to act in the thin red line, and reflect on the power of divine signs. We'll ask how to recognize God's signs in our lives and why following them can transform our path. Let's go back to 1997. Jim Caviezel was a little-known actor. After years of auditions and minor roles, he was on the verge of giving up. He was given a unique opportunity to meet director Terrence Malick for The Thin Red Line. But that evening, outside the director's home in Beverly Hills, he froze in doubt. In a testimony he gave in Amsterdam in 2019, Caviezel recalled, "I showed up in front of his house for a 6 meeting, but I couldn't get out of the car. I was full of doubt and told myself that if it didn't go well, I'd quit acting." It was 6, and fear of failure gripped him. At that moment, he remembered a piece of advice from his manager, a devout Catholic who had urged him to pray the rosary daily. Jim admits he had never done it consistently, but that afternoon he decided to follow the advice. He took the rosary that belonged to his wife's grandmother, a family heirloom, and began to pray. Caviezel stepped out of the car with the rosary still in his hand. His first instinct? Leave it in the car. "I realized I had the rosary in my hand. If I put it in my pocket, I'd fidget with it during the meeting. So I went back to leave it in the car." But as he was about to set it down, he felt a strong pull in his heart. Take it with you. This kind of internal sensation, as we'll see, would become a recurring theme in his life. He decided to follow the impulse and put the rosary in his pocket. He rang the doorbell. The person who answered wasn't the director, but a woman wearing a miraculous medal. With innocence, Jim greeted her. "Oh, you're Catholic," she replied. "No, I'm Episcopalian." As she led him inside the house, Caviezel felt the same inner nudge, even stronger this time. "Give her the rosary." Without thinking, I pulled the rosary from my pocket and handed it to her. Her reaction was unexpected. She was moved to tears and asked why he was giving it to her. Jim replied honestly, he didn't know. Then she burst into tears. "The woman who gave me this miraculous medal also gave me a rosary from Mother Teresa, but I lost it. This morning I prayed that God would send me another one, and now you come in with a rosary." Only then, while the woman was still in tears, did Terrence Malick appear. Caviezel realized she wasn't a maid, she was the director's wife. Embarrassed, he feared the audition was already over before it even began. And yet, the outcome was the opposite. That evening, back home, he told his wife, "I have good news and bad news. The good news is I might get the thin red line. The bad news is I lost your grandmother's rosary." A few weeks later, Caviezel got the role. He was convinced Mary's intercession and the rosary he gave away had opened the door. He openly declared, "That rosary and the intercession of the Blessed Mother got me the first big role of my career." The Thin Red Line would go on to be nominated for 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Without that small act, perhaps he would never have encountered Malick in such a meaningful way. But the story doesn't end there. With success came new temptations. In 2000, Caviezel was offered the role of Edmond Dantes in The Count of Monte Cristo. He was at the peak of his career, yet something felt off. He later shared that while he was praying for the production of the film, another extraordinary event happened. During filming in Malta, in a key scene where the character must choose between vengeance and love, director Kevin Reynolds, a Texan Baptist, called him over and pointed to something on the ceiling of a room. Caviezel was stunned. It was a fresco of the Immaculate Conception. For me, it was a sign that the Lord and His Mother were with me. That fresco remained in the film. Caviezel considers its presence a further confirmation that Mary was guiding him. Shortly afterward, with no connections and no prior contact, he received a phone call from Mel Gibson, offering him the role of Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. Once again, the coincidences were too many. Jim Caviezel, initials JC, was 33 years old, the same age as Jesus at the time of his death. And now he was being asked to play the role of Christ himself. For Caviezel, this was no coincidence. It was providence, a sign of a greater plan. First and foremost, that God uses concrete signs to speak to the heart. Sometimes they are small, a sudden feeling, the decision to carry a rosary. Other times they are obvious, like a fresco on a ceiling that appears at the exact moment of an important decision. St. Paul wrote to the Romans, "We know that all things work together for good for those who love God." This doesn't mean life will be free of obstacles, but that God is able to turn every detail, even a lost rosary, into an opportunity for good. The Bible is full of signs. The Star of Bethlehem guiding the Magi to the child, the rainbow given to Noah as a promise, the burning bush that speaks to Moses. In the Gospel, Jesus rebukes those who do not know how to interpret the signs of the times. Not because he wants us to become superstitious, but because he wants us to learn how to recognize his presence in our story. Of course, not every coincidence is a divine sign. It's important to discern. Here are a few key points that emerge from Caviezel's story and Christian teaching. Jim was praying the rosary. Prayer makes the heart sensitive to God's voice. It's no coincidence that without prayer, he might never have felt that inner prompting. Prayer is the language through which God speaks to us. Before giving away the rosary, Jim feels a deep impulse, not just an emotion. In Ignatian terms, this is a movement of the Spirit. To discern, we need inner peace, attention to the heart, and often spiritual guidance. A true sign always leads to an act of love, never to something against the commandments. Caviezel performs a selfless act. He gives away a precious rosary to a stranger. If a sign pushes us to do harm, it is not from God. After the experience at Malik's house, Jim feels a deep peace, despite professional uncertainty. Authentic signs bring serenity and confidence. The director's wife confirms her morning prayer. The success of the film and the fresco during the Count of Monte Cristo further validate the path. True signs are often confirmed by concrete events. It's important to remember, signs do not take away our freedom. Caviezel could have ignored the urge to bring the rosary with him. He could have refused to pray it, thinking it was just superstition. God never forces us. He invites us. Our choices remain free, but paying attention to signs can lead us to a good we would never have imagined. Jim's story also shows that signs don't remove suffering. In the Passion of the Christ, he endured real scourging, a dislocated shoulder, and even a lightning strike. He himself shared that he offered his pain for the conversion of souls. Meeting Mary and praying the rosary did not spare him from the cross, but gave him the strength to carry it. Likewise, following God's signs doesn't exempt us from trials, but gives us the grace to overcome them. What would have happened if Jim Caviezel had left the rosary in the car? The meeting with Malik may still have happened, but without that moment of deep spiritual connection, he wouldn't have heard the inner prompting to give away the rosary, nor would there have been that sacred, tearful encounter with the director's wife. Without that moment, would Malik have sensed Jim's faith and passion? Perhaps not. This reflection leads us to a powerful question. How many times in our own lives do we miss opportunities because we ignore a prompting, postpone an act of love, or fail to notice a sign? Another key element of this testimony is the gospel principle of giving. Jesus said, "Give, and it will be given to you. Jim gives away a precious rosary, knowing his wife's grandmother might be upset, and in return, he receives a life-changing opportunity. Of course, this is not a mathematical transaction. The logic of providence exceeds our calculations, but generosity opens the channels of grace. The widow in the temple, with her 2 small coins, gave everything and became an icon of trust. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously, wrote St. Paul. In the same way, those who give spiritual goods, a prayer, a sacramental, do not lose but enrich themselves. Dear brothers and sisters, Jim's testimony is deeply moving. Let us know if it touched your heart too, and share it with someone who needs hope. May God bless us all.